trying harder isn't always the answer to unlocking your performance and sometimes can make things worse. Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn with Brock McCormack, and you're watching the Sports Psychology Podcast.
All right, episode 2 today, a big question that we wanted to propose was, can you think your way out of the yips? A lot of athletes feel like they can overcome this all on their own by just using the power of their brain to fight through the yips. There's a little bit of truth to that, but we're going to actually talk about how your brain is working against you when dealing with the yips. The first big issue is when you start discovering that the yips are happening is you start overthinking your mechanics a lot. You want to break down every part of your throwing motion and try to figure out what's causing it. Is it my elbow position? Is it my rotation? Well, the overanalyzing and overcoaching is actually just causing it to become worse.
When you take a well-learned skill, Brock, something that you've done your entire life, and you start to overthink that skill, and that could be in many different ways. You go back to the mechanics, or you change your mechanics, or you're forcing a throw, for example, or you start to control the release. Even something that small can be considered overthinking when all of that has to happen from motor memory. It has to happen from muscle memory, as coaches say, and all the repetition you put in. It's when athletes start to get in their own way and overthink the details, which they think is the correct way to go, but actually can make things worse.
Absolutely. And when I work through this with my athletes, the biggest thing I say is muscle memory functions best when we keep it in the subconscious. Hence, you throw your best when you're not thinking about how to actually make the throw. Just like when you're walking down the sidewalk, you're not thinking about where to put your feet on the sidewalk. It just happens naturally and you flow. In order to take the thoughts about the mechanics and send them back into the subconscious after experiencing this, well, that takes some of the tips that we're going to talk about in terms of simplifying, actually thinking less, building up the trust with simple process-based cues.
Yeah, and which we find with perfectionists, it's like it can't be that simple. It's not about simplicity. It's not about thinking less because they're always grinding and trying to find a solution by thinking more and making more changes. What's the first thing that a ball player will go to when their throw goes off? They're going to go right to the mechanics, or they're going to go to the coach and they're going to ask the coach what they're doing. But in reality, it's not mechanical. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be mechanical unless there was an injury or previous injury where things have changed radically with the mechanics. Then they go to the coach, and the coach starts to tell them what to do to look better with the throw, and now they're already in that realm of overthinking.
That's it. Exactly that. And another big thing that pops up a lot with breaking down the mechanics is now players become obsessed with not messing up. So your brain goes into avoidance mode, which really is sort of the yips, is avoiding failure. Your brain is trying to protect you from failure and from embarrassment. So after making a bad throw, your brain wants to say to yourself, hey, don't mess up the next one. Don't overthrow this. Well, Dr. Cohn, what's the biggest problem when we tell ourselves the don't commands?
Don't commands, you're worried about what not to do. And you're worried about the fear of if you make a bad throw, for example, you cost a base, for example, or you commit another walk after walking the previous batter. So now you're trying to avoid walks, you're trying to avoid bad throws and giving up bases, for example. The funny thing is, with catchers, they worry the most, I think, about making a bad throw when really in between pitches, it's really not that important as they think it is, even with men on bases.
Exactly that. And the biggest challenge with experiencing the yips is not only what you're going through, but worrying about what other people might think about what you're going through.
So how do we simplify it then for them? Just to tell someone, hey, you got to be more simple, or you got to simplify your throwing. I don't think that's enough for them.
It's not. I think committing to a few simple, manageable process-based focus cues, we call them the ingredients of a good throw. The biggest one that you can take and try out is having an external focus away from your body out into your target. Any focus on your body, your mechanics, your arm positioning is only going to continue to exaggerate this. So taking your focus away from your body out into your target, having that external focus, and letting your body move more naturally is a great first step.
Yeah, I totally agree. But if I'm so bound up and I'm thinking about that safe throw, I'm thinking about not spiking it in front of the pitcher, for example, then how do I get there to just be able to free up my arm and just think about a target? That's got to be really difficult for players that struggle with this.
It is, and it's going to be hard to change that right away. So the biggest step in this process is a little bit of patience, because rebuilding that trust between your mind and your body, it's going to have to take place in practice first on your own, whether that's one-on-one with someone else, before you can take it and apply it to these high pressure game situations.
And don't practice the safe throw. If you're a third baseman, for example, or you're a catcher, don't get in the habit of staying with your safe throw. You're much better off ripping it and occasionally having that throw that's off than sticking with the safe throw on every single throw. I've been talking with Brock McCormack. I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn. If you want more information about this topic, check out baseball-yips.com. And if you're interested in the coaching, jump over to peaksports.com and click on Contact Us or check out our Yips coaching. Thanks for watching.